Hey pen friends, it's Kaitlin. Welcome back to my corner of the internet. So it's that time of year again where planner season is upon us, and I wanted to take the time today to sit down with you and just have a casual stationery chat about planner season. I want to just talk to you guys about it. I want to talk a little bit about how I'm approaching it this year. I kind of wrote down and reflected on what my red flags and green flags are for planners and journals, which I thought it would be fun to share too. And lastly, I want to talk a little bit about the releases that I've been seeing and share with you my reactions to the lineups, specifically Hobonichi and Traveler's Company. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about my purchase plans with those brands, which will actually kind of go into how I approach planner season, and you'll learn why in a minute. Nothing's concrete yet, which kind of relates to my approach to planner season, and the first rule of planner season for me is not to buy things in August. It's to wait until the actual end of the year. But yeah, that's a little bit of spoiler for what we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be mostly an audio video, kind of like a visual podcast, if you will. So feel free to put me on as you're doing something, or journaling, or planning, or folding laundry. Any of that works. But either way, lock in and let's just jump into it. All right, so planner season. Planner season is very individualized in terms of how you can approach it. I will say that in general, I find planner season to be a bit intense. I think that I understand why these releases and announcements are made so early, but in general, I find planner season can be a bit tricky just because it happens and the new things are announced for the next year so early in the year, to the point where these announcements are made almost midway through the current year. I know technically August is not the midway point, but the announcements and the reveals start at the beginning of August. So for me, it kind of feels like, you've barely gotten halfway through the year with your current books and you're already being kind of thrown these announcements and reveals for the next year. And for me, sometimes I find that it can just get very distracting as a concept, all of planner season, because I find that if I'm not careful, I can focus all of my attention into the new things coming next year. How am I gonna adapt these things to my system? What am I gonna purchase? What is my lineup gonna be? And then I completely neglect and forget my current books, which have only been used for about half a year, and there's still at least half to a third or a quarter of the year left in these books. And I've had years where the tail end of the year has really kind of dropped off for me because I'm so focused on the new things to come for next year and just really focusing on the future instead of being present. So with planner season, for me and how I approach it, I tend to try to take a stance where I like to see what's coming out and I like to be engaged, and I think it's fun to talk to your friends in real life and on the internet who are into stationery and planners and journals about what's coming out, because I think it can be a really fun topic of conversation. But for myself, since about, I think it was last year, I have created the personal guardrail or guideline that I don't really purchase things for next year or really start thinking about next year until October, November, unless there's a very strong likelihood that there is something I know I'm going to use and it's going to sell out. One example of that is every year I buy the stickers from Traveler's Company because I really like using their icon stickers in my bullet journal, which I can actually show you here. I have it with me, which is convenient. So let me see. Yeah, this is a good example. So as you can see here, I do really like to use these little icon stickers, and these come in the yearly sticker packs. And because I use them quite often, especially specific ones like the hair trim, the plane, I use this one for my bills, and then I use the suitcase for specific office meetings. Those stickers I will actually fully use up by the end of the year, I've found, or those stickers I'm tracking to use up by the end of the year. So because I'm running out and I don't have any more, I will be purchasing the newest set of stickers for Travelers Company. And I usually just buy those right away when they release because they can sell out pretty fast. So unless it's something like that where it's more of like a repurchase or it's not dated, so there isn't that element of commitment, I usually try to wait until October, November. And I also try to not think about changes for next year until later. I think in general, my mindset on creating like a notebook ecosystem, as the current tagline is now, or analog system or planner lineup, journal lineup, notebook lineup, whatever you want to call it. My outlook on that has evolved from it being kind of like a yearly thing to it just kind of evolving as it needs to. I think if annual restarts work for you, that's great. I think for me, sometimes I can use it as an opportunity to be a bit more of a distraction and use it as an opportunity to maybe like get new things in a way that maybe isn't the most productive. So I'm trying to more think about evolving my analog system on a continuous basis, kind of doing changes as I see the need, not necessarily tying it to specific years, but sometimes things do start at the beginning of the year, so it makes sense. So, it's not a hard and fast rule, but usually for planners and journals, I don't like to buy them early. The reason why is because I've had situations in the past with companies like Hobonichi where I've ordered a book because I thought I would use it in this way and I was excited. And then come October, I realized I actually don't want to use this book. And there was reasons behind that. And luckily at that time I was able to kind of give away the book so that people could use them, but still just kind of a situation that could have been avoided if I just waited a little longer and not purchased right on release day. So yeah, that's how I like to approach planner season for the most part. The other thing I do like to do, and I kind of talked about this briefly, but I do like to immerse myself in the excitement of the releases. I think that as the years have gone on, I've just tried to adjust the immersing and being part of the excitement as something that I'm able to do from a conversational point of view, and recognizing that I can still be part of the conversation and still talk to people about stuff without actually actively buying anything. This year, I'm not planning to buy anything from Hobonichi personally. I'm not a super big Hobonichi user to begin with. I haven't really used their books too much. I've been kind of on off with them, but for the most part, I don't use them a ton. So not surprising there, but I do really love, even though I am not a big user of Hobonichi, seeing the covers and talking to my friends about the covers and sharing which ones we like and maybe don't like. So if you feel like maybe you're losing out on the conversation because you're not buying a Hobonichi, I assure you you're not. You can still post and share your favorite covers and the designs you like and stuff like that without having to buy something, especially because I think the excitement of Hobonichi is actually around the covers themselves. It's not really that different in terms of the planners they release each year, and except for the weeks, of course. So the planner doesn't really change, it's the covers. And even if you don't have a Hobonichi, you can just buy a cover for your notebook if you're using a notebook or planner that size. So there's totally ways to engage and have fun with the launches and be part of the excitement without actually purchasing anything unless you want to and it makes sense for you. But yeah, that's something I like to do as well. I love to talk about the Hobonichi launches, even though I have no intention on buying any of the covers or any of the books, but it's still fun to talk about which ones you like and don't like and all of that stuff. The third thing I'll just shout out as well that I try to do with kind of planner season is if I am buying anything, I'm trying to purchase these items from my local stores in Toronto. I am fortunate enough to live in a city where we have so many great stationery stores. Two of my favorites are Wonder Pens. That one is closest to me, so that's the one I often will purchase from and go to just because it's easier for me to get to on the subway. Also, we have Paper Plus Cloth, who's a great vendor as well. So I do try to buy local when I am ordering, just because then, you know, you can make a day out of going to pick up your items and really enjoy the experience. But yeah, if you can buy local, always a good plan. Support the local stationery businesses and all that stuff. The last thing I like to remind myself with planner season and planner and journals in general is, and please don't take this as me telling you this if it hurts your soul, but for me, I like to tell myself that at the end of the day, it's just a notebook. It is literally paper glued together with some tape on the spine. And it's really not that serious. It's not. It's just something that is meant to make your life easier. It's meant to help you keep track of your tasks, be more productive. If you journal, help you document your life so you can capture those memories that you would otherwise forget, most likely. It's not, you know, life or death, serious things, you know, very like People Are Dying Kim, if you know that reference. That's how I like to just remind myself of that when I'm also in the midst of planner season, and also just figuring out what I want to use next year. For me, taking a bit of the pressure off and not overthinking it and not making a big deal out of it, I find usually leads to more success than me overthinking it and getting way too into it. So if you're like that, it's not that serious. Don't worry about it. It's just a planner, just a notebook. You know, just use it. If it's not 100% perfect, like nothing's going to be. Is it 80%? Is it good enough? You know, go from there and just figure it out. So yeah, that's kind of how I approach planner season. I try to take a very relaxed approach, in case you couldn't tell, while also just enjoying the fun of it. In terms of planner season though itself, we have had some exciting launches this year, and I like to talk about them because it's fun to talk about. You know, we love stationery, we love journals. So I did write down my thoughts on Hobonichi. For Travelers Company, it's a little easier because there's less items. Every year they release stickers, they release pencil boards, they release the same yearly inserts, so those don't really change except for the stickers that come with them, which I won't touch on. And then I think that's it. In terms of what they release yearly, I think the big one for Travelers Company is really the pencil board designs as well as the stickers. And if you're not familiar with Travelers Notebook, Travelers Company, I use the names interchangeably. Travelers Company is the name of the company, Travelers Notebook is the name of the product. This is a Travelers Notebook. It is a leather cover which has a series of strings which allows you to put notebooks in it. And similar to Hobonichi, which is a Japanese planner brand, they release new designs every year that have, in Traveler's Notebook's case, a theme. Hobonichi, they will release a variety of covers, and they usually release those in collaboration with specific artists, which is really cool to see. I'll touch on Traveler's Notebook first. I am a big fan of Traveler's Notebooks. I love the design. I love the way they work. I personally am a big fan of just how you have these covers and they patina and age over the years, and how you can kind of customize all the inserts around the notebook, but the notebook itself is quite simple. It's easy to change things without having to change the entire system, which I really like as well. And usually the way I approach Traveler's Notebook is I will usually always buy the stickers because I use the icon stickers and I quite like those. The circle stickers that come in the set are also quite helpful. The decorative stickers I'm not the best at using, I'll be quite honest. I'm not super into decorative stickering, but I'm trying to think of ways to use them because I do want to use them before the adhesive goes. So the stickers I usually will pick up, unless I really don't like the design, which I've never really encountered as of yet. Hopefully they never change the design of their icon stickers. That would be devastating, but so far so good. Where it's more of a decision factor for me is the pencil boards. So I'll move this out of the way actually, and I'll take out the ones that I have. So let's see, do I even have my pencil board in this notebook? Maybe not. Okay, I'll put that one on screen. Not sure where she is at the moment, unless it's lost in my notebook. Nope. Okay. We'll have to find that later. But I have 2 pencil boards for my traveler's notebook. For my passport, I have this pencil board, which is the 2020 edition. It is so gorgeous. Everything about this is very much something I really like. It kind of reminds me a bit of Sherlock Holmes, just with the magnifying glass. I don't know. And for my regular size, I have the pencil board from, I think, 2021. Actually, let me go find it. All right, here it is. It tends to migrate sometimes, but this is the one I have for my regular notebook. It is from 2023. They date them, so it makes my life a lot easier figuring out what year they're from. But these are the notebook pencil boards that I have in the passport and regular size. The approach I take with the pencil boards is I do not buy a new pencil board unless I like them equally or more than my current pencil board. And as of, or shall I say since 2023, I have not liked any of the pencil boards equally or more than my current ones, which is why I haven't bought any. For 2026, I'll put a photo of the pencil board so you can see them above, but for me, I'm fairly picky when it comes to design. So with the current pencil boards, I feel like they were almost there. In terms of the actual design, without considering color, love. Would definitely purchase for the design itself, but it was the color combinations that did not really resonate with me personally this year. For the passport pencil board, the green and pink just didn't really love. I feel like if they'd almost done, and I know they did this one already, so I understand we're not trying to repeat designs, but I love this dark green with this kind of brighter, almost leaning towards orange toned red, and the contrast that brings. I think that could have been really cool. And then, so yeah, the green and pink just didn't do it for me. Maybe in person it looks better too. Sometimes the photos are a bit different. And then for the regular size, for the blue and orange, I don't know. Again, I feel like maybe red would have been cool, or a different shade of orange. I don't know. For me, the colors weren't really resonating this year, is the long and short of it. So the design was really cool. I love the theme this year. I think the stickers are some of the best stickers I've seen in a couple years for me, besides the coffee stickers, which came out in 2023. So I love the sticker designs. I love the baby traveler's notebook mascot. That's so fun. But yeah, the pencil boards, I don't like equally or more than my current ones, and that's kind of my criteria for purchasing. So unless I see them in person and they look really nice in person than they did in the photographs, I will only be picking up stickers this year. Now, let's talk hobonichi, and let me lower my ISO because the sun is coming in. Alrighty, so for hobonichi, again, I usually don't buy much from hobonichi upon launch. My big thing is I like to see the designs and see which ones I like and talk about them with friends. For hobonichi this year, I actually thought they had a lot of really cool designs that personally I would, if I was into hobonichi, I would definitely pick up some of these things, and I wrote them down here, so I'll just read them out to you. So first is the butterscotch, which is part of their colors covers. So usually I find that the colors they choose for the color blocking covers are not ones I personally love, but the butterscotch one this year I thought was kind of nice with the kind of beige and the orangey color. I think that could look really cool with a cover on cover as well. Oh gosh, I can't read my my handwriting, but these two are actually from the same artist. I'll put photos of them above, but there is an artist this year. I think actually I read that they are a product designer at Hobonichi, which is cool because I am also a product designer, but they're a product designer at Hobonichi, and they did these beautiful landscape paintings, and the cover, which is this beautiful field, as well as the week's cover, which is this lavender, almost sunrise, sunset, dusk painting, are absolutely gorgeous. I think that's probably one of my favorite artist features that I've seen in a long time. Specifically, the purple week's cover really reminds me of that shot in Spirited Away when Chihiro is getting on the train. So yeah, I think those are really, really cool. I really like the embroidery covers this year. I think those are so cool, especially the A6 one with the gray and like almost the chest pieces. I think those are like absolutely phenomenal, and like the tassels, so fun. Also, the fabric cover of the plaid, I feel like as a Taylor Swift fan, that really reminded me a lot of her album cover for Evermore. I know it's not the exact kind of plaid pattern that her jacket was in that album cover, but it really reminded me of that kind of energy and that reference. So immediately was a fan just because it reminded me of that album, which I quite like. And yeah, that one was really gorgeous as well, especially with the kind of darker leather brown accents on it. Oh yes, there was this one, I'm not sure if I'm going to say this correctly, so apologies, but it's Amenimo Makazu. Really cool in terms of the kind of brushstroke art, and then the yellow mustard accent on the spine just really nailed the design for me. Love that, so cool. The scribbles on the back, just awesome. And then, oh, of course, I had to say, I always enjoy the F1 covers, which are the exclusive release in Japan. It's the collaboration between Formula One and Hobonichi. This year it's teal. I am not a huge teal fan, but I always will say yes to the Formula One covers, so always a fan of those, and I think just the car on the front is always really cool. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Hobonichi this year. Those are the covers I liked. I would love to hear which ones you liked and you thought were cool. I guess to end the video, maybe I will share with you my list of planner green flags. Now, when I originally wrote this list, I wrote them as red flags, and then I thought, hey, why not put a more positive spin on it and highlight the things I do like versus the things that are complete deal breakers. So that's why I'm going with green flags, but you could definitely switch this around and, you know, think about red flags. I think in general it's a good exercise to kind of do this and remember, as you're seeing all the new exciting stuff, what you actually do really like and find very important in your planners and notebooks. So I'll go ahead and share mine, but feel free to let me know yours below, because I think it's kind of fun how everyone likes and dislikes different things. So for me, my planner green flags are as follows. 1, light printing. And by light printing, I mean on the page. So any grid, any layout, any lines, any numbers, any writing, I like to be in a very light font. Partially because I write in a brown ink, not a black ink, so because there's less contrast. I find that dark printing can compete with my handwriting, which I don't really like because I want to focus on my handwriting, not the grid. The next one that kind of connects to that is having guides if there's any sort of layout or even no layout on a page. So I can't write on a blank piece of paper straight to save my life. I need a grid, I need lines, I need something to help me find my way across the page in a straight fashion. So while I like light printing, I also need to make sure that there's a grid or lines, or if there's kind of like squares, there needs to be a grid or lines in the squares. Otherwise I am completely lost. The next one is cream paper. This year, I have decided for next year and going forward in life that life is too short and I no longer want to engage with white paper. There's nothing wrong with white paper. Just for me, I love the look of cream paper with my writing and with my planners and journals. Now, you'll probably notice that this is white paper that I was writing on for my notepad, which since my last video, I appreciated all your suggestions, by the way, for what to call this. But I have decided to call this my thinking pad going forward, because that's kind of what I do. I like write down ideas and kind of brain dump and mind map it out. Sometimes I practice the cursive letter F, as you can see here. So, you know, many things are happening in this space. For this, because it's just like a really messy scratch pad, and Rhodia doesn't make cream paper to my knowledge. You know, this doesn't really fall within my life's too short for paper that is not cream motto, but for future planning and notebooks, I don't want to bother with white paper anymore. I like cream paper, and that's what I like to stick to, so I will be continuing to stick with that. Next up is, this one, I'm not going to talk about Hobonichi and this today, but Tiny Tiger Co. actually made a good point on this in her video, and that is, along with life being too short for paper that's not cream for me, life is also too short for me going forward for paper that does not have a consistent writing experience. And tragically for me, that has been a lot of this paper that has been coming out that is Tomoe River paper. I experienced it when I tried to use Hobonichi. I'm also experiencing a bit of a different paper texture with my Good Impressions notebooks, which are 68 GSM cream, which is kind of a bummer. So I think going forward, you know, we're gonna finish the books and continue that, but I think going forward into next year, and this actually falls into my purchase plans as well, which haven't been finalized, but I think I'm gonna try to move away from the Tomoe River paper just because the inconsistency bothers me a lot. I like a consistent writing experience, so I'm going to be focusing more on using papers that provide that for me specifically. And this is my favorite paper. I'll bring out my notebook so you can see. My favorite paper to use is the Cream MD cream paper, not the MD white paper. That is completely different, let me assure you. But the Cream MD paper has one of the best and most consistent writing experiences that I have ever had the pleasure of being part of. So I think going forward, I'm gonna try to start converting all of my journaling and notebooks and planning to the MD cream paper where possible, just because I really love the consistent experience I get with that paper. All right, next green flag is notebooks that lay flat or close to flat. So this is why I like traveler's notebooks, because the booklets themselves lay incredibly flat. But for me, I don't like notebooks where it's actually hard to do the writing, because I feel like that kind of interferes with the true purpose of the notebook. So in general, I like to find notebooks that lay flat, such as MD paper notebooks are phenomenal for this. I can maybe demonstrate it. Let's see. You have to, like, you know, train it a little bit, but once you do, she's not going anywhere besides, you know, one page sticking up, which you can just kind of go like this, and that pretty much solves it. You're not battling with the page to hold it down, which I quite enjoy. Also, another good lay flat notebook is the Stalogy, and I think Leuchtturms are pretty good at laying flat once you kind of break in the notebook appropriately. Traveler's notebooks, yeah, there's quite a lot of them. So if that is a green flag for you too, and you're trying to find a lay flat notebook, they're out there. Next, flexible layouts. I do like a flexible layout. When a layout is too structured, like let's say one where you have a section for daily goals and meal tracking and very specific needs that maybe I don't share. I personally like to avoid that because I don't like to leave random empty spaces in my notebook for areas that could be filled with notes or just aren't something that I like to do. So I like to keep layouts flexible or blank if possible, so I can make my own layout. Very kind of bullet journal centric, that one is. And then the last two are, and I'll just not go into this one in much detail because I think we've talked about color a lot today. Minimally colored or neutral layouts. I do not like a lot of color on my layouts personally, so like to keep that as simple and minimal as possible, especially because I write in a brown pen, so if there's any kind of like black accents, it kind of contrasts with the brown in a bit of a way that I don't personally love. And then finally, for me, because I live in Canada, I always, if I have something dated, need it to be a Monday start because I operate on Monday starts. I've never operated on a Sunday start, and Sunday starts confuse me terribly, so always need a Monday start if there is any type of weekly start format. And that is all of my green flags. You can obviously reverse those and identify what my red flags are, but again, wanted to keep it more positive and fun for that segment of the video. But that is what I wanted to talk to you today. We chatted about the new launches, green flags, red flags. We talked a lot about color. So if you're not into that, apologies, because we really went deep on that. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on planner season, my approach, what I'm liking, what I'm not liking, and what things I look for in my journals and notebooks. And let me know all of those things for you below. I would love to hear. Besides that, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in another video. Bye, everyone.